Three Righteous Mamas is a podcast that is on a mission to transform our country. We tell the stories that matter, celebrate the power and hope of pissed off mamas who are building a better future for all of our children. I'm Muna Husseini.
I'm Cristina Sansun Ramirez.
And I'm Martha Pinkoffs.
And thank y'all for joining us today. We're going to switch things up and talk amongst ourselves. We're going to discuss the question we ask all of our podcast guests. How did our mamas shape us? But before that, we're going to actually discuss self-care. And I know that this year, for me, it's been a trial. Like I've been working from home, or as I fondly like to say, living at work. And so
no,
self-care is on my mind.
Oh, that makes me so sad, Muna. That is so true, though. Okay.
It is.
It's like my son is up at 5. Thank you, daylight savings. Can we get rid of daylight savings just to begin with? But like he's up at 5.
Speaking of, that's like my mom's crusade.
Oh my gosh. Can your mama do something about that, please?
She maybe could.
I think that would be a lot of self-care, just getting rid of that. But yeah, my day starts at 5 and then I'm up with my kids and then work and then it just never ends. And the next thing I know, it's like time for dinner. And then I see my husband for like 5 minutes. And then I'm like, I'm going to bed. Bye. Like rinse and repeat.
Every single day.
Yeah.
So what are you doing to actually survive all of the time that's like nonstop?
Like,
when the fingers come under the bathroom door.
Oh gosh. And my cat does it too. It's not even just my kids.
I don't even have the fingers. I just have someone. Santi knows how to unlock all the doors. So.
Oh man. Well, one thing I started doing, well, it may not fit the traditional definition of self-care, is I started noticing that my 4-year-old had meltdowns every day, right before his nap and after his nap. And it was just so disruptive and so stressful for me because I'd be on like work calls and then my son would come in and just refuse to leave mom alone. And this is one of the reasons my day is longer, but it's added sanity, is like I just block my day now from like 12 to about 1:30. So I eat lunch with him, I put him down, and then he takes his nap, and then I'll work, but I don't have meetings during that time, but it's, just doing stuff like groceries or laundry or whatever. And then when he wakes up, I'm with him, and then it gives him a little time to decompress, and then I hand him off to his nanny. But it's like, it was so horrible and like embarrassing, and just having him come in and like literally like fight with me, like hit me and whatever while I'm trying to like work. And he's not a badly behaved kid. I think it's just this, like, I want my mom's at home. And so making the choice, I don't know why I didn't do it sooner, just to like block my calendar during that time. And like just my stress level went down like, and nobody cared. Nobody cared at all at work. They were like, yeah, do what you need to do. And I thought, why didn't I give myself permission to do this months ago?
Right.
And so I guess I was getting in my own way. What about you, Martha?
I don't know anything about getting in my own way all of the time. You know what? So right when the pandemic started, we were in the house like all of the time. And I took to walking. I would just like had, a blessed amount of flexibility in my day and could just get up and walk the neighborhood. So I just like didn't stop. But I just started a new job and I don't have the time to walk anymore. And so I actually go to the gym at 5:30 in the morning on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday and lift weights. And it is so like, it is such a gratifying thing. And I've meditated for 10 years. I have been like very devoted to a meditation practice. But something happened when like we have all just been together and there hasn't been any space, and I have not practiced my meditation in the way that I am accustomed to. So it's been really weird to figure out like how to give myself space to process through the days. Oh, and I made art. I started making art during the pandemic. It made an
What
artist
kind of
out
art?
of me. I
And
draw
why
lines and stuff.
do you have anything there? I think I got it. You sent us a card you made
I
us.
did send you guys
I
cards. That's
love
like
that card where you had all the
yeah.
different lines and the different colors. You did
Yes,
that by
that's a miniature
yourself?
version. Yeah,
Yeah,
totally.
I know.
So I
It's
freehand
amazing.
these huge lines, and it's like something about, I don't think about it. Like, I'm not allowed to think. I put on music, and something about the way that my hand feels pulling across the wood with the pen on the paper is like very, I guess that's the meditation piece. So
What
that's what I
music do
do.
you listen to when you do that?
She's listening to
So
to hardcore punk music while she's doing it, metal.
on
Meditating.
occasion
So
metal.
calm.
But I will listen to like a full like I'll listen to all of Lila Lovett or like a full record collection of somebody in order. And so it winds up taking me through all these stories of like, oh, I remember when I was in high school and I loved this song, or it's a trip.
I love listening to songs from high school and or when I was younger in my early 20s and being like, oh, you feel so sentimental about this song.
Oh my gosh.
I know.
Music's been a big one for me. And my children now have an appreciation of 80s music. And specifically, we've been listening to freestyle lately. And so,
Yes.
little Timmy T, got your letter from the postman just the other day. And sorry,
We'll put the
I
link
had
where
to.
you guys can listen to the song in full.
But like I just feel like music's not that good anymore as like what we were. I guess I'm like an old fogey now. I'm like, back in my day, music was better. Like
so good back then. That and movies.
Movies were better in the 90s.
They can't make good. I mean, the John Hughes. Okay, Christina, what do you do to take care of yourself? You see how I did that?
I actually, I did see how you did that. So Marlo, me because I sometimes have an aversion towards the term self-care. But I do like to take care of myself and not go crazy. I think for me, obviously, the fact that like I'm not unemployed or sick, so that's already like I'm not super stressed out compared to a lot of people. But I spent the last year like traveling everywhere and working around the clock. So I have actually been loving this time at home. For me, it's been like this massive gift, and I don't feel stressed out at all. I feel super calm, and I actually have anxiety when I think about the world going back to how it was, where I traveled all the time and I had to juggle a lot more relationships and high stakes things. Like things just don't seem, also because things are so bad in the world, a lot of the things that seemed high stake before, maybe I'll go back and they won't seem high stake, but they did then. So I feel great. But I've always exercise has always helped me. So I love running. And I do get a little stir crazy being in the house all the time. So I have to leave the house every day. So whether that's going on a run, though now it's getting dark at 5. And so that's not fun. Or I go a ridiculous amount to the grocery store because it's the only thing open.
I love going to the grocery store.
I'm always like
so
every day.
much.
There's like, if you live in Austin, there's this great co-op called Wheatsville, and they make really good cookies and things. And I'm in there like every single day. Everyone that works there knows my name. It's very embarrassing. And Santi's name. And sometimes I go in multiple times a day and they're like, "You're back." I'm like, "Yes, it's me again."
I can't
So
believe
that
I don't
keeps me
see you
safe.
there.
I know. I'm like, I kind of don't even believe you go because seriously, I'm in there all the time. I was there today, there almost every day of the week. My credit card bill is like Wheatsville.
Oh man, I think food is a big part of my self-care. As a Muslim, I don't drink, right? And haven't done any drugs. And I'm always like, how do I relax? And I just find that like eating really good food makes me happy. It really, really makes me happy. And I think that it's just, I don't know that we consciously do it, but maybe it's just because we're snotty about it and it's like, oh, I'm not eating that. Or like the other day, I made myself a sandwich for dinner and my sister came up to me. She was like, oh, what's wrong? And I know people eat sandwiches all the time. And by the way, we cook a lot in my house, or like we're just really even picky on like where we eat out. But like it's just a big part of, I guess, what like a non-negotiable. I hear you on the exercise and I hear you on the art, but I don't know. I'm just like, as a Muslim, it's like my only vice and I'm keeping it. So
So I hate to let you know this. I think it's the vice of all cultures of food,
I think it is
to be
too.
clear.
yes, yes. Sound
And
yes.
in the post-COVID times, this is going to turn into a dinner party.
That's why we've all gained like 10 pounds in COVID. That's, the gyms when it's cool. You're going, don't you go to like an outdoor gym?
I do go
Which
to
is
an
like,
outside gym.
it's too cold for me. But I swear the gyms are just gonna be massively overbooked once COVID is lifted because everyone's gonna try and lose that extra food weight we just because we were all bored.
The
So
COVID-15.
so I'm really excited about what we've got to talk about today.
Hey,
Yeah.
I am too. I've been curious about this and can't believe we haven't actually had the conversation yet.
Yeah, I know. It's like two women I absolutely love and adore that I think of as really wise, fun, um, just great people to be around, and don't even know how your mama shaped you, right? We talk about all the time about how we're shaping our kids, but how you came to be you. So I know that's what we're going to talk about today. The question we ask all of our guests, but why don't we start with you, Martha? I want to know how your
Bring it on.
mama made the Martha Pinkoffs I know today.
Well, she fed her on organic food and no, but she actually was. She was an original like health nut, which I didn't really have any appreciation for when I was growing up. In fact, I sort of resented it and would like really get excited when I could go to my friends' houses who had goldfish in their house. And I could like totally binge on their goldfish. Um, but my mom's name is Louise Pinkoffs, Louise Ghost Pinkoffs, and she is from Wichita Falls, Texas, which is just about to the border of Oklahoma. So she's a North Texas woman, and she's very funny. She has two sisters, and they were sort of like a known entity from Wichita Falls. But my mom has shaped me in, so many different ways, and I sort of knew that we were going to have this conversation, and so I was trying to think of like the highlights reel. And one thing that just like, even to this day, I have internalized so deeply is that every time I would leave my mom's house, my mom's car, if I was going to ride bikes down the street, or if I was being dropped off at a friend's house for a sleepover, my mom would tell me, "Now, honey, you be sweet and have fun."
So cute.
And it's so cute. It's so cute. And it was so like that shit got deep in me because I still like I do actually think that that is very much the way that I engage with the world
I
is
would testify to that. If anybody knows Martha, two very core ways I would say she is uh, sweet and funny as well.
yeah. And my mom carries that too. She's definitely funny. Um and she's pretty sweet too. The other way, like the other primary way that she shaped the way that I engage with the world specifically is that she has modeled for me um, the ability to grow and to change. And we didn't actually get there on the easy road at all. My growing up, my parents were like relatively conservative, but it was, I was raised mostly in the late 70s, early or 80s and 90s. I was born in 77. Um, And so like there were no gay people in our world at all. Um, that's not actually true. My dad's uncle, my great uncle Tom, was gay, but nobody ever talked about it. It was just like
The secret.
It was so weird because he would actually come be with us, but it was never acknowledged, even though he had written to his siblings that he was gay. They didn't never even acknowledge the letter that he wrote inviting them into his full life. So when I came out, I was 26 years old, which is late, and I had known that I was gay since I was little. Like I remember.
Can I ask what year this is? Like, so you're 26.
So if
my math is not good. I'm like, wait a second.
I'm gonna have to add 77.
If you remember from other
26.
episodes, Martha and I have discussed how we are not good at math. So
I'm literally getting my calculator out to add 26.
That would be 2002.
Yeah. 0203.
Muno, you were like valedictorian or something?
Thanks,
I
Muna.
wish.
Okay, so this was 2003, I think. But before that, I had known forever. Like when I was like 12, 10, however old I was, I knew that was that was a truth about me. I intentionally didn't put words to it. I would stand in the driveway at my house and shoot baskets and think, if I make this one, I'm not gay. If I don't think about it today, then maybe I'm not gay. And like, I knew that when the time came to share that truth with my family, that there was rejection on the other side of it. So my coming out story I came out first to my sister knew, but I came out first to my mom, and she kind of forced me out. But I was at a party across the street from their house. These gay boys lived there. I sold real estate then. They were fellow realtors. I was in a relationship with somebody that I worked with. She was actually married at the time. So there was a lot to work through for my parents. But my mom called me, and I remember, I will never forget, I was wearing a t-shirt it was a navy t-shirt, and on my right boob, it had love and a lightning bolt. And on my left boob, it had fear and a pile of money or something. And my mom called me, and she said, "Come over here." And so I go across the street, and she said, "Are you gay?" And I said, "I don't know." I did know, but I couldn't bear to own it. And then she said, "Are you in a relationship with," and she named the name. And I said, "I am." And she said, "Okay, you can go." And I said, "No, we need to just now we're here, let's do this." And we had a hard night. And we had a hard couple of years. But my mom really worked to understand, and she did learning on her own, I think, about what it meant to have a gay kid. And she went to therapy with me, and we really worked on the relationship and chose the relationship. And so actually now what we have is a lot closer. And she went from somebody who was, total Bush Republican, to somebody who was campaigning for Hillary and campaigning for Joe Biden. And in large part because she knows that the impact that it has on my life, or that's what got her there. Mm-hmm. But I've just watched her open and make space for a bigger understanding of how other people experience this country.
Mhm.
And I appreciate that so much, that she has been brave enough to do that.
One, thank you for sharing that story. And I guess what's like hitting me about it too is just you were 26. You know, my mom always says to me that you're always going to be my baby, you know?
Mhm.
And I feel like my mom still shapes me and your mom still shapes you. Like even as an adult, like the lesson that I thought you were going to tell me was like this lesson as a kid, but this is a lesson and how she shaped you now as an adult. It's like pretty amazing that as moms, we keep giving, right? And she's still giving to you these
Totally.
lessons.
Hmm. She totally is. And she is a big part of why I believe that it's worth staying in conversation with people that you think that you disagree with, because if we can find our humanity together, then I think that we have work to do together.
And that's so important. No one stays the same over time. And if you go back to what you were saying earlier, is it be sweet and have fun? Was that it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? I think in that spirit, no matter what you're going through, if you're going to be sweet and have fun and stay the course, you're going to figure it out. And I'm so grateful for Mama Pinkoffs and you sharing that story with us.
You can call her Wheezy, Muna.
Wheezy.
All I think
Wheezy
of
us,
is the band
baby.
Weezer. I think of the band Weezer.
She's wheezy.
I think of Lil Wayne when you say that.
That you can see just by that response the different tastes in music we have right there.
Totally.
Well, it also makes me think of the Jeffersons.
Yeah, totally. She's wheezy.
Oh.
So it has been it's fun to it's nice to like actually reflect on that and to take time thinking about it, because a lot of gay kids for sure don't get that, you know?
Mm.
And so I really appreciate that my mom gave me that. So that's Wheezy.
I can't wait to meet her.
She's fun. And
She's sweet and fun. She got it from somewhere.
Oh. All right, Christina, tell us about your mama.
Christina.
So you have to understand my mom is like my hero to me. Like there's no one I love, respect, admire, look up to more than my mama. And it's always been that way. And so my mom's name is Ana Sensun. And, you know, she is from Mexico. I think people know that listen. She grew up really, really poor. And she was the oldest of 9 kids. And so she wasn't really even raised by her parents. She was raised by her grandparents. My mom has had a really hard life. So, you know, she grew up really poor. Her dad was an alcoholic. There was a lot of abuse. And then as an adult, you know, she has me and my sister and brother. And when I think about how my mom shaped me and like why she was my hero, my mom was always my hero because she was so, like, her love was such a gift and you knew it all the time. And like even with Santi right now, I'm like, there's no way I can ever live up to be everything that my mom was. You know, she was just the most amazing mom that was always, always there for us. And it's kind of funny, even because I didn't grow up. Yeah, I'd go to Mexico a lot, but then I was just around my mom, and she was the only Mexican mom I knew where I grew up. And I wondered if other kids' moms were as nice as my mom. Like, I just thought I had the best mom, and probably all the other kids were jealous of me. It's like how much I thought my mom was awesome. But I think about the kind of way she shaped me. The key ways are, you know, my mom made us all very proud to be who we are today. And I actually just found out this story recently. She was telling someone else about it and I hadn't heard it before. We were living in Dallas at the time. When I was really young, we lived in Dallas, and then later we moved to Ohio. And my mom went into a panaderia, a Mexican bakery. And my brother, sister, and I are all light skinned. And my brother and sister, actually, their hair changed colors later. It was darker, but when they were born, it was actually kind of strawberry blonde, both of them. And we went into the panaderia, and the woman behind the counter saw my mom with me and my siblings. My mom's dark skinned. And the woman said to my mom, "Son tuyos o los cuidas? Are those your children, or do you take care of them?" And my mom responded, "Son míos y los cuido." They're mine and I take care of them. And the woman said to my mom, and this was another Mexican woman, but she told my mom that, well, they're going to be very ashamed that you're their mother because you're very dark skinned and ugly, Indian. That's what she told my mom. And that kind of stuff happens in Mexico too. Like there's a lot of discrimination against people that are darker skinned, that are indigenous. Like it happens around the world. Remnants of colonialism. And so my mom just didn't say anything, because my mom isn't the type of person back then that would talk back. Now she is, but back then she wouldn't talk back. She was just really insulted and left with us and didn't say anything. My mom actually said, "Oh, thank you for letting me know." I think my mom literally said that to the lady and then left. That's like how polite my mom was back then. Yeah. And my mom left, and she said, I went home and I was really upset that this lady told me that. And I remember looking at you three kids, and wondering if you were going to be ashamed of me. Like you wouldn't want people to know that I was your mom. And I decided then that I was going to make sure that you were really proud of who you all were, that you were going to be proud to be Mexican, that you were going to be proud to come from a community that was brown, that was in Mexico, it's considered indigenous, right? That you were going to be proud of all these things. You were going to be proud to come from a community that was poor. And I raised you to be incredibly proud of all of those things. But sometimes I did feel ashamed but I just never wanted you to feel that. So I didn't let you know that I even felt that about myself sometimes. And, it hurts me to hear my mom say that like she felt sometimes ashamed. And, but it was like this great gift. Cause like I said, I thought it wasn't until I got into middle school, even I thought everyone was jealous of me for being Mexican. Like, cause my mom raised us like that. Like it wasn't until middle school. And then some people started to call us like spicks and wetbacks. And I was like, what is this? Aren't you guys jealous of us? Like, I don't understand. I speak 2 languages. My food is better than yours. What's wrong with you?
What's the deal?
Yeah. So, yeah, I would say like, thank you, mommy, for making me incredibly proud of who I am. Like, that's just the greatest gift my mom gave me. So that's one of them, I would say.
That is,
I love hearing. Sorry, Martha, go ahead.
Well, yeah, I hate hearing the pain part, but like thinking about what you created, especially with Jolt, like that is the embodiment of those lessons from your mom, right?
Yeah. I mean, my mom gave me all that, right? I never understood why anyone would be ashamed of where they came from. Cause like, I was just raised that it was like a gift to come from somewhere else.
Oh, and it is.
That's so powerful. That's so powerful, especially because people struggle so much with, I'll say, the authenticity of their identity and letting their inside match their outside. Like such a gift. Remind me, what's your mama's name?
Her name is Anna.
Oh.
So, yeah. And she's like really, and I will say, so the other thing I was going to say about her, the other gift she gave me is my mom, she's had a really, really hard life. And she says it herself. She's like, I've had a really hard life, a lot of pain my whole life. And I love my father so much, but their relationship was really hard. I think like a lot of families, there was a lot of fighting, just a lot of pain, betrayal, from my mom for many, many years. And I remember as a little girl watching my mom, and it was actually the only times I would not feel like my mom is the best mom. I would watch her not leave my dad when it was so clear she should,
Mhm.
and like think she was, and it embarrasses me to say I thought this, but as a little girl, I just thought she was stupid. Like I
Mhm.
thought, why doesn't she just leave? Um, and my mom waited to leave my dad until my younger brother was in his senior year of high school. And my mom, she didn't go to school past like I think it's like eighth or ninth grade. English wasn't her first language by any means. She didn't have a high school diploma. She didn't have like money. She didn't know people. And she lived a very isolated life. She mostly just took care of us. And, she waited and waited. And she said, I waited because I wanted my children to all have education, especially my girls, so that they wouldn't ever have to depend on a man like I had to. And it took me till like my mid 20s to realize, wow, my mom is really strong. Like to endure what she did. And I can't even talk about the things she endured, but like the things that she endured for the love of her children, the strength that took. And I will say one of the best things is my mom always raised us and she was like fun and funny and all those things, but she really didn't even become her full own person, I think, until like my parents have now been separated since almost like 20 years. And she didn't really become her full self in like till the last 10 years. My mom was really afraid of people. She was really afraid to like rock the boat. Like that lady that said, "You're ugly Indian woman. Your children are never going to love you." My mom responded, "Thank you for letting me know." That is not how my mother would respond today, but that's how she responded back then. Like my mom last year on Facebook, all of a sudden I saw a picture. She had a nose ring. I was like, when my mom got a nose ring.
That.
And she's like, I'm 60. I'm not getting any younger. And I've always wanted one. I think they're cute. I went and got one. And then 2 weeks after that, my mom is backpacking by herself in Croatia.
What?
Yeah.
She's a total badass.
Yeah. So she's like awesome. And I'm just like constantly amazed how, she said, I had a really hard life. I never got to be my own person. I was always sacrificing and taking care of others. And now I've got these years left of my life and I'm going to make sure I get to be my own person. And I just like love that about my mom. So that's my mama.
That's amazing. Does she get to have some ease now to be like, is life not so hard anymore so she can enjoy it more?
Yeah. I mean, like she travels more. She's, does things that she wants to do for herself, which she never could do like her whole life.
Yeah.
She doesn't ask for permission to do things. She used to have to ask for permission to like do anything. She doesn't do any of that anymore. She's just her own person. And so I like, I just constantly love watching her grow like at this stage of her life. Like she's like, as soon as COVID's over, I'm going to South Africa. That's my next place I'm going.
Wow. Yeah, she's still blossoming. There's more there. That's amazing.
I will say she's never dated again though, which that kind of breaks my
Well,
heart, but
Hey, it's her choice, right?
Yeah.
I think to each their own, right? Like who cares what tradition says you need to do, right? If she's happy being on her own and spreading her wings, like more power to her. That's pretty amazing to hear.
yeah.
To
Sorry,
Martha's point, it's just like the constant growth and the evolution of who we are as people,
mm-hmm.
right? I I know I struggle with that one because you have to acknowledge that your mom has more of an identity than just being your mom, right?
Yeah, tell us about your mom.
yeah, Muna.
So, my mom's name is Suraya Tasneem Husseini. She grew up in a town outside of Hyderabad in India called Nizamabad. And as I'm sitting here listening to both of y'all talk, I have a little bit of a confession. I did not appreciate my mom and the amazingness that she is, I think, until much later. And I I always struggled because like I knew growing up that I didn't want to be a housewife, and I think that's all I saw her as. And
Mhm.
now being a mother, when I look back and I think about just, I feel like she just instilled excellence in us, but she didn't talk about it. It's because that's what she did, right? Like we were always taken care of. We had 3 square meals a day.
Mhm.
Our rooms were always clean. If we needed help with her homework, she was on it, right? Like if we needed to go somewhere, it was done. And though my mom, like she never played sports, but we all played competitive sports, she took us to all of our games. She watched and like I remember I'd be sitting next to her when my brother was playing tennis and like she'd swing her arm even though we're sitting,
That's so
like
cute.
in the bleachers because she'd be like, yeah,
She's
get it,
playing.
go. Right. Like she was never a passive part of our lives.
Mhm.
And like she was just committed and dedicated and there wasn't anything else. Like there was no like we were her lives, but she was our lives. And I just took it completely for granted, right? And like, that little story about, like swinging the tennis racket, like I think she was so committed that even though she didn't know how to play sports, like we'd leave the game and she'd be like, you should have done this, you should have done that. And like she got like even now when I talk about tennis, like she knows every player, like Rafa, Nadal, like Serena, right? She knows all their stats and everything. And this is a woman that never played sports ever, right? Or even just what you were talking about with being your authentic self and being proud of your heritage. I kind of struggled in the sense of like, okay, my parents were immigrants who came here in the early 70s and, kind of trying to find that place of like, yes, I loved my food, but I didn't want to bring like stinky Indian food to the school
Oh
at
my God.
lunch
You
and
mean
everybody
delicious, delicious, delicious smelling
like
food.
now, absolutely. But I think when I was 12, I was
Right.
like, can I just get a bologna sandwich, mom? Gosh, right?
Oh
And
God.
she'd always be like, suck it up, you're different. Our food's made like kind of the same stuff, but like I think it was just more like I'm not spoiling you over this or making it easy for you. Like you're different and just kind of like forcing us to like be comfortable with who we are and like our identity. And like, yes, you speak another language, like get over it. You're going to learn it. And like, not just my Indian language, but also learning Arabic from a religious standpoint and like taking the time to do it and being like, I don't care. You're doing it. Right. And like, even when we struggled against it, like she was so strong in her identity. And like, I feel like because there was no brooking any, like, there was no playing with that. She was like, no, this is how it is. And you're going to be okay with it. That I have such a strong comfort in my identity now. And I don't feel the need to be apologetic about a single thing of who I am. And, lastly, that third point you made, I guess the third point I'll make about what you were talking about is independence is my my mother's father, they were actually I guess small business owners and they did well, but at some point my mother's father fell into some, we'll call it like legal issues on like ownership of land with his family, and he spent the majority of her adult life fighting for his assets. And she always struggled because she didn't feel like she could do that much to like help her family even though they were here. And so my mom always was focused on you will get your education, you will be independent, you will like, it's almost like I never wanted to be a housewife because she never wanted me to be a housewife, but
Oh,
I didn't
interesting.
realize that until I got older. And like my work ethic and my career and everything, like, there wasn't a conversation of like, well, maybe you'll go to college. Like, no, I don't think she ever told me I was going to college. I was just going and I knew it.
Right.
Like everyone in my family knew, right? I'm actually the only person in my family that doesn't have a doctorate. I'm kind of like the black sheep in that sense. But, that was all just because it was, she just, it was known. I don't even know that we had a conversation about it. And it's like that level of just like being, it transfers. And she was just full of that drive to just, like I said, like be the best, be excellent. Like there was never any just do it to get it done. It's like if you're going to take the time to do it, you're going to do it right. And like
Yeah.
That was it. There was no playing. And I don't think I started to realize this until after I was done with college. I was probably like 25 and I started thinking about my life. And like, I didn't realize, like, wait, like, I think after I started working and I had friends, who were like, oh, you know how to cook? And I was like, yeah, you don't. And they're like, no. Like, but your family didn't teach you this stuff? Like, no. And, or even just simple stuff. Like, even though my mom didn't work, my parents,
But she did work, right? Like
Yes.
she did work. She didn't have an occupation outside
didn't
of the
get paid,
house, right? She didn't get paid.
right?
But
Didn't
like,
get paid.
okay, the three of us all work, right? So here's a question.
Yeah.
Like, in my head, I love the idea of like staying at home and being here for Santi all the time. But it's so hard that I actually don't think I can do it. Like, it's so hard for me to imagine being that available all the time. That I'm like really glad I get to work, because it is so hard to imagine like being that available, that caring, that conscientious 100% of the time. It's like so much weight to carry.
It's way easier to get up and go to work than it is to stay home. And I lovingly refer to my mom as a domestic engineer now, because I just don't know that, like, we don't value what mamas do. We don't value it enough or give it enough respect. It's almost, I feel like we got to turn this idea of what it means to be a family on its head, because it's like the spouse that is the breadwinner is supporting the spouse that is raising the children, and not the other way around.
Yep.
That'd be powerful, Muna. I mean, I remember my mom also worked at raising us, was her primary job. And I remember her like saying to my dad when he would come home sometimes, like, you get to leave. You leave and you go to your office. And this is hard. And I don't think I could do it. I really don't. And that is not for a lack of love of my children. It just is. I don't know.
It's mentally,
it's
emotionally
exhausting.
hard. Yeah. I mean, like, I keep trying to convince my partner, Manuel. I'm like, don't you want to be a stay-at-home dad? I will totally like give you the space to do that. And he's like, no. And he's like, why don't you do it? And I'm like, oh, because it's really hard. I was like, because I believe in modern relationships, Manuel.
That's right, honey.
It's not working.
My husband and my mom joke around a lot, because my husband will always be like, oh yeah, I'm such a poor guy. Like, look at all the stuff I have to deal with, being married to your daughter. And like, he's so comfortable joking around with my mom that way. And my mom's always like, you're too comfortable. Like, you're talking about my daughter. And she just gives it right back and they get along. But, it's so amazing to see their strength and their quiet strength. And it's like, who decided that strength shows up one way? Who decided that strength and leadership means boom, 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 boom? And it's not to take away anything from my dad, but like the quiet, deep, authentic strength, wisdom, leadership, love, humor from my mama. It's like, I'm just blown away that she's in her 70s, and to both of your points, still evolving and still growing. And it's like the horizon, it's still out there. And it's just so inspiring. Like, when I was listening to both of y'all talk about your mom, so inspiring. And I'm so grateful, because we get to be part of these conversations and passing on their, I'll call it ancestral wisdom, right? To our kids.
Okay. So post-COVID, I think we need not just Three Righteous Mamas to get lunch, but Three Righteous Mamas
With
and
the
our
mamas?
moms. I think that would be really fun. I feel like it would be
The
really
mamas
fun.
and the mamas.
Yeah. And to see like how they interact with each other. I'd love it.
Oh, I think that would be so fun. I'm down.
Your two moms are here in Austin, right? Or is your mom in Dallas, Muna?
My mom's in Austin.
My mom's in Dallas, but she comes down to visit all the time.
Okay. My mom's in between here and Ohio. So maybe, if while she's here, that would be really fun.
We'll have to
would
work it
be
out
so
when
fun.
Mama Anna comes down.
That's right. Well, I loved learning about your all's moms. And I think you're totally right, Muna. Like, we have to learn, you didn't value it as a kid because society doesn't value it, right? And I think that's what's so special about this conversation we're having. One, motherhood never ends, right? Your babies
Nope.
are always your babies. And you're always learning also how to be a better mom, like, and impart that wisdom on your little ones, no matter how old they get. And so I loved learning about your moms, and I cannot wait to meet them. I think it's going to be awesome.
It's gonna
I
be
have
super
one
fun.
question before we close this out. As a grandma, my mama lets my kids do everything I was not allowed to do. Is that the same for y'all?
Like whatever they want, there are no rules. It is insane. My mom, like, we were not allowed to eat sugar. We weren't allowed to like have any of that stuff, and like have my kids over, and it's like, Wheezy, can I have a cookie? Wheezy, can I have some cake? Wheezy, can I? And it's like, whatever you want.
Yeah.
Who are you?
It's hilarious. Well, they're like, they get to go, they're high on sugar. They're going home to Martha.
Yeah.
There you go.
Then they're my problem.
Yeah.
All right.
What are y'all? Wait, I have one more question too. What do y'all's kids call your mom? What's the
So
grandma name?
my mom is so funny, right? She's like, I don't want to be called grandma. So she came up with her own name. She wanted to be called Tita, which I have
Tita.
no idea why she wanted to be called. Oh, because abuelita. So she decided to make it Tita.
Tita.
And Santi refuses to call her that and came up with calling her Gaga. So she's Gaga now.
That's cute.
In Urdu, mom's mother is Nanima. And I think it got shortened to Nama for my youngest, and the older daughter calls her Nama. And then on my husband's side, I'll just say that my mother-in-law wanted to be called Mommy Muluka, which is her name, so that's what she goes by. What
You,
about
Martha?
My mom
Christina?
goes by Wheezy.
Wheezy.
Wheezy. All right. Well, here's to them.
Love to the mamas
That's
and
right.
the grandmas and the titas and the Wheezies. We're out.
And don't forget to subscribe to our podcast and share it with others. And please, please rate this podcast. Let us know what you think, what you're liking, so that we can make this podcast even better.